brown man adopted two homeless white children. 20 years saved him from life imprisonment before. We follow this story. Tell us where you are listening from. To us today, Darius Moore was a black man, an old man who sacrificed everything to raise two children, abandoned and found in a dark alley decades later. His cruel boss framed him for a crime and turned. The courtroom whispers against him, describing him as a thief, a liar and a man who does not deserve mercy. And with the situation, his hands tied and hope fading, the judge prepared to issue a life sentence. But before that, the gavel falls. Two people come forward and reveal an order that shook the entire room. And before I could, we continue if this is the first time. If you're watching one of our videos, we would like you to click the subscribe button. Your support means a lot to us. It helps us to provide more stories. Influential. Stay with us until the end. And if you're interested, this story is about your feelings. Share your thoughts in, comment, and share it with a friend. Let's start now. The winter of that year was so cold that it penetrated. Old coats and worn shoes were. The streets of small industrial cities are fragrant. The smell of smoke and cold steel as it speeds up. People went home with their heads down, ignoring those left behind after the end of the shift. Long-worked Darius Moore was a tired black man. In his late 50s, he walks with a sway. He is limping due to an old injury that has not healed for years. His work in the factory was always said by his boss. He is very slow, useless, and a lucky man because his job hadn't been taken away from him yet, and he didn't argue. Darius is a cat who swallows insults, his pain, and maintain his humility. That night, he passed through a narrow alley behind a restaurant. Whispers mingled. Freezer fans with wind whistle. Leaning against a dumpster were two pale children, shivering, their clothes just a rag over their bones. The boy's arm was wrapped around his little sister. Trying to protect her from the cold, Darius stopped. He can keep walking as he does. Everyone and the words of his boss are still echoing in. Don't waste your time on the lost. You can feed yourself. And he was right if it was. Darius' meals are usually crumbs, and his room is barely. It was warm, but seeing those kids made him feel warm. Feeling stronger than his hunger, he bent down, his knees buckling. Squeaked, and the children looked at him with eyes bigger than their age. He asked them in a calm voice, "You two have somewhere to go." He remained silent, just nodding his head. Darius breathed. Rising in the air, he knew what it meant to be. He neglected to be invisible and couldn't leave them. There he extended his rough hand and said, "Not tonight," saying in a low, steady voice, "Come on, boy, repeat." But the little girl's fingers slipped into his palm. Cold as ice, that's enough. And when they arrived, small apartment the neighbors were looking through. The cracked doors, one muttered to the other, "The old fool can't pay. His bills are now bringing the strays in." The other laughed and shook her head. "He will drown with them." Darius, as always, heard but continued in. Walking carries behind him a fragile life inside his apartment. There was no palace, just peeling walls and a sofa. Flabby and a lonely fireplace making more noise than. Warm it up and spread the blankets on it. Sofa, heat up some broth and watch the kids. They eat as if they haven't touched food since days. And that night, while he was sitting in the corner, rubbing his aching leg, Darius thought about how he would continue. His boss is making fun of him tomorrow and how he will be. Money is tighter than ever, but it was. He also knows something. These kids won't sleep on frozen concrete anymore, not what. As long as he is alive and with this calm decision, form a bond that will resonate louder than ever. I imagine the next few days were not easy work. Darius in the steel mill where the smell is. The burning iron and all the echoes of its machinery seemed to be. Shake his bones, his boss, Mr. Ronald, was a man. He enjoys humiliation and waits for silence to prevail before. To shout across the hall, even those orphans. The ones you brought might move faster than you laugh. Some workers are confused, others are excited. To join. Darius never replied. He was wiping the sweat off his forehead, and he continues to push, but every insult and every look. It was a heavy burden to carry home with him. He limped, however, at night, and seemed to be carrying a burden. He was afraid that he would open the door of his apartment and the children would run out. Towards him the boy, Jaden, always holding a book in. He is keen to read what he learned in school, loudly, and his younger sister Sophia often. She sits on the shaky table, writing with a faded pen. Draw homes that look warmer and brighter than they are. They knew him one day when Darius was giving them his food when. Empty the cupboards, sew with broken stitches, and save. Money for Sophia's shoes and some nights when. The heater stopped working and he was holding them close. Pretending not to feel cold, the neighbors were. They chatter in the stairwells and small shops, and whispers spread that they will end up in. The street with him, muttered a woman as Darius passed by. Another man smiled, a black man raising 2 children. White people will turn on him at the first opportunity. They heard Darius, but he didn't respond. From that, he dedicated himself to the children and taught Jaden how to. Changing a car tire and how to shake hand with others. With dignity, guide Sophia on how to balance. Money and how it stands tall despite the world's attempts. Dwarfing it. However, Ronaldo did not leave Darius. He never forgets his place. When Darius asked one day, a holiday to take Sophia to the clinic, Ronald mocked, saying you're not their father. Stop pretending with the hero and go back to work. But he did it despite that. He took a risk today for his reward. He walked with Sophia to the clinic, holding her hand firmly, knowing exactly what it would cost him. And that night, when Ronaldo cut his salary in half, he disappeared. Darius held the receipt in his pocket, pretending to. Nothing has changed. The years have passed this way. Sacrifices multiplied upon sacrifices. The children grew. Jaden with sharp eyes and a smarter mind got scholarships Ronald said he didn't deserve. Never mind Sophia, the quiet girl with pens. I became a strong voice in school discussions. She is afraid to challenge anyone who makes fun of her strange family. Darius watched silently and proudly, his body trusting. His back was getting more bent with every year, but he saw the children stand taller, and for the first time he allowed himself. By faith, perhaps the kindness was not in vain. It was a plant that would bloom far beyond him unless it was. He knows how much he is watching Ronaldo too. The man became sick to see Darius building a family. From the crumbs, and when Jaden and Sophia left too. The university carries the body of Darius Ackett from work. His hands were like rough stone, his back was bent. His steps are slower than ever, but his heart, filled with pride with every message that arrives, Jaden studies. Law and Sophia are chasing the press, their notes on the peeling wall as treasures either. Mr. Ronald did not relent, but rather listened to him and made him. His hatred was deeper than he hated to see Darius walking with his head raised a little bit and hated to hear whispers about orphans who made something of themselves. For Ronald, this was proof that Darius stole the dignity he did not deserve, and one Sunday morning, autumn days laid traps Darius returned to. He went home to find 2 policemen waiting for him at the door. With their clean clothes and cold faces, one of the neighbors. He was watching from his window, muttering, I knew it. For Ronald, this was proof that Darius stole the dignity he did not deserve, and one Sunday morning, autumn days laid traps Darius returned to. He went home to find 2 policemen waiting for him at the door. With their clean clothes and cold faces, one of the neighbors. He was watching from his window, muttering, I knew it. The 2 officers pushed Darius inside. They searched his modest apartment from under his pillow. Erica pulled out a small bag filled with money, and the company's equipment is stamped with factory marks. Darius's cheeks turned red with surprise. He had never seen anything like this before. I saw it before. Within hours he was handcuffed, with metal handcuffs biting his wrists. He stood, Ronald outside the factory gates, his arms crossed, 2 smiling faces as he walked away. It seems that kindness is of no use after all. He mocked in a voice that the workers could hear, some of them laughing, and some. The other turned his face. It smelled of varnish. Dust filled the courtroom as Darius sat, hunched over, his once strong shoulders drooping. Pictures of the claimant describing him as a bitter old man who stole from. Yes, the witnesses were workers paid by Ronaldo. Secretly, they claimed to have seen Darius sneaking around the rooms. The storage seats are full at once, they whisper I was. I know it's too good to be true. The children he raised don't even know who he is. Darius really said little he wanted to. He screams, but years of swallowing insults have trained him to. Silence thought about Jaden and Sophia, but it wasn't. He can drag them into this shame. It is better that. They better stay away from him. It's better they never see him like this. And when the judge's gavel struck, announcing that Darius, he faces a possible life sentence. The room was closing in on itself, the walls pressing in on him, and the air became thin. Darius fell, his eyes on the ground, and his heart heavy with one last truth. Maybe Ronald was right, maybe a man like him didn't. Created to rise above its place, then the doors were opened. At the back of the hall, two confident men slowly entered. Unshaken, their eyes fixed on the man. Sitting alone at the defendant's table is Jaden, and Sophia is not the two children he was carrying. Darius came home shaking and became rash and informed with his sacrifices, which I believe were. I went without noticing. The hall moved and transformed. Whispers turned into screams. Ronald's smile faded. For the first time, Darius's chest tightened. He did not want to. With him here, but when Jaden put the files, legal on the table, and Sophia raised the device, recording as she scanned the faces of the audience, she realized something she hadn't. He allows himself to believe it before she comes back. His kindness has come full circle, and the battle is not over. After the hall was now crowded and tense while Jaden adjusted his tie and stepped forward. It wasn't like that anymore. The shy boy hiding in the alley stopped. His voice is firm, and he presents himself as a defense lawyer. About Darius putting the files on the table, loaded with evidence, Sophia positioned herself in the hall. The recording device is flashing red. You didn't come, not only to watch, but to document everything. I was shaken up. Her articles are really powerful names, and now it was. Her pen pointed straight at Ronald tried, claiming to maintain determination, but Jaden difference. The case is being pieced together piece by piece, and the witnesses who stammered. They claimed to have seen Darius Moore under duress. His questions, one of them stammered and admitted that he had not heard. There were only rumors and another contradiction in his testimony when he was pressing it revealed Jaden's cracks as he did so. The surgeon, when opening the wounds, Sophia stood up and asked him permission to present a report detailing the history of Harland Inn, wage theft, harassment, and accounting fraud in the factory, supported by the documents revealed. As a journalist, whispers flooded the hall, red-faced. Harland's fists clenched. Darius sat frozen, blinking in front of his tears. He thought that children, those he saved, passed him and set off. Brighter worlds, but here they fight with fire. He had planted it in them without realizing it. The judge back taps his pen, weighing the storm. The explosive in front of him seems to have finally said that this. The whole case was built on manipulation. Darius, then to Aaron, fall charges screams. Surprised and applauded, some of the mockery targeted at her round. As he left, angry and defeated, Jaden put his hand on Darius's shoulder. Sophia approached him and whispered to him, "You have to bear everything alone, Dad." One word, I wanted to ring out louder than a hammer. The court that released him, the neighbors who had previously. They are mocking them. The journalists are silent. They write with enthusiasm. Finally, tired old Darius allowed his back to heal, with righteousness and his curse to meet the world he has raised. Two children from the cold one day, and after 20 years he lifted it. He is from his cage because kindness does not die, it waits. Grown when the time is right. Save. When Darius chose Tebe decades ago, he did not. He imagines one day that she will save his life. This reminds us, the story is that every act of mercy plants a seed that may return when we need it most. If you like this story, don't forget to like and subscribe. Channel for more stories, and tell us in comments from anywhere in the world. Follow us. We love to hear from you all. Thank you. To hear the heart of the story,